On the same day that the state of Maine has removed Donald Trump from the primary ballot, California says he's going to stay on the ballot there. Is all of this feeling to you like we live in the Twilight Zone? And then you have a red state with an alleged GOP governor. That would be the state of Ohio with Mike DeWine, who just vetoed a bill passed by the legislative body that would have banned transgender athletes from competing in sports undesignated, i.e., a male converting to a female could play female sports at the high school and collegiate level. This bill would have said, no. You have to clearly have male sports, female sports, trans sports. Oh, and the bill also would have stopped in its tracks giving minors puberty blockers and giving them transgender affirming surgery. And the governor, the red state governor, the conservative governor, Mike DeWine, vetoed it. Yeah, I would say we're living in the Twilight Zone.
Let's get ready to rumble! You can't handle the truth.
Hi, this is Pastor Marty. Welcome to the Afternoon Drive. Now, I know that the production of the Afternoon Drive has been sporadic over the past 3 weeks or so. Some of you are in the loop and know, some of you don't, so let me explain. You can tell by the surrounding behind me, I'm not simply in a new office, I am in a whole new location and place in my life. We just moved from the state of Ohio to the state of Georgia. I am serving in a church here now. And so my life has been a little bit in, shall we say, kind of crazy but good turmoil. There was the move, the relocation, and then, of course, it was the holidays. And my family came in, and my family is kind of scattered around the country. So to get all my kids in one location, that took precedent and priority. So I hope you'll forgive me, but understand. And we get into the first of the new year. The Afternoon Drive will be in regular daily production, but thank you for affording me this opportunity. Hope you like the new digs. You'll be seeing a lot of them in up and coming the Afternoon Drive. So thank you for watching. Hey, please make sure that you are still subscribed to the channel. Once you are, smack that bell, click the word all so that you get notification of all of my rants, my ravings, and yes, my undeniably flawless reasonings. And please like and share this video. That's how we get the word out that we're here. Welcome to the Afternoon Drive. Sheena Bellows, Secretary of State for the state of Maine and a Democrat, has removed Donald Trump from the primary ballot and claiming, with that democracy is such a sacred thing and we have to protect it. And I'm aware that no Secretary of State has ever kept or denied a candidate from a ballot based on the 14th Amendment. But I'm also understand that no other presidential candidate other than Donald Trump has engaged in insurrection. Time out. Time out. He hasn't been charged with insurrection. There is no actual charge against Donald Trump that he engaged in insurrection or the violation of the 14th Amendment. That is the interpretation that we get from, the lying legacy corporate corrupt mainstream media and, of course, the ruling class, the RHINOs, the Democrats. This is how they're spinning it, but if you look at the things that Donald Trump has been indicted for and charged with, insurrection is not on the list. So here we go again, this, making things up and spinning a tale, and it's all designed to create this idea that Donald Trump is engaged in something that, again, in this country, you're supposed to, number one, be presumed innocent until proven guilty. But here he's being basically given a punishment for a crime he's not even been charged with. And even if he had been charged with insurrection, none of this has actually been tried before a judge yet with a verdict. So he hadn't even been convicted of engaging in insurrection, a violation of the 14th Amendment. So here you have, little different than what happened in Colorado, where some robed justices went ahead and just assigned a verdict based on a case that hasn't even been tried yet. Now you have one person, Secretary of State. She, and all by her lonesome self, has declared Donald Trump guilty of insurrection. He's not been charged, and no court in the United States has found him guilty of such charge. You talk about an overstep of government. Doesn't this kind of remind you when Fidel Castro would every 4 years announce that he had won Cuba's re-election as El Presidente? And yet you find out, well, there was nobody who actually ran against him. And anyone that dared say, hey, I think I would like a shot at being Presidente of Cuba, they found themselves in jail. Or worse. I mean, this is third world banana republic nonsense. And I think the American people see that, they understand it. And once again, though, like Colorado, she stayed her judgment. Now, what does that mean? She's giving the Trump team the opportunity to file an appeal, which they most certainly will. The Supreme Court, the United States Supreme Court, SCOTUS, is going to have to step in here and make a ruling on the 14th Amendment, because we can't keep having this circle jerk back and forth every couple of weeks. This is just beyond ridiculous. I know the Supreme Court would rather not touch this issue, but this is going to have to be one that has got to be determined up front, that Donald Trump has not been even charged with insurrection. There has been no court that has found him guilty of such. Therefore, whether they be state Supreme Court justices or state attorney generals, they can't just make up a decision and a verdict based on a charge that hasn't even been cited against a person. But we shall see. We shall see. We shall see. But shockingly, California Supreme Court said, yeah, Donald Trump is going to stay on the ballot in the state of California. Bum, ba-dum, bum. What does that mean in the land of what we would call liblunism on steroids? That even they know the law. Even they understand that, you know what? This should be overturned on appeal if we were to remove him from the ballot and he were to appeal. If the justice system is actually rendering justice, if it's actually doing its job, he's not been charged with violation of the 14th Amendment. No court, no the Department of Justice, no prosecutor has charged him with that. No court has found him guilty of that. Therefore, states can't just say, you're guilty of insurrection, we're not letting you on our ballot. They don't have that kind of power and authority. And even the state Supreme Court of California understands that and therefore has said, no, nay, sorry. No, he is staying on the ballot here. And I can't believe I have to do this. I cannot believe I have to do this. Kudos to California. On the flip side, an alleged Republican governor, that would be Mike DeWine of Ohio, and I lived in Ohio, and I wanted to see Mike DeWine primary, but it's part of the neocon establishment, and they had his back and made sure that Ohio was stuck with that RHINO loser. He is nothing more than a short, dwarfy little wimp like Anthony Fauci. Honestly, they are two peas in a pod. They look like conjoined twins that somehow got separated. Honestly, I do not understand how someone as slimy as Mike DeWine has been able to get millions of people to vote for him. I mean, you just look at him and know he's just a wormy little political hack. And so the machine has him protected. The political machine has them protected. There were shenanigans, with voting irregularities in Ohio. Donald Trump did manage to win by overwhelming numbers, but there were some shenanigans in these midterm elections that I was just there for and was actually able to vote in, and solidly conservative Republican districts, the Libloons won 5-1. Yeah, okay. I won't tell you the name of the voting machines that are used across the state of Ohio now, because we're not allowed to talk about that. So a piece of legislation that has been before the Ohio legislative body and has passed would have blocked children, minor age children, from receiving gender reassignment surgery and things like puberty blockers. It also would have made it very clear that at the high school and collegiate level in the state of Ohio, trans athletes cannot just declare themselves, I'm a female, therefore I'm going to compete in girls basketball or girls swimming, etc., etc., etc. That it was very clear you'd have male sports, female sports, transgender sports. And it passed. And Mike DeWiner vetoed it. The legislative body has the votes to override the veto. Now it'll be interesting to see, will they? 20 other states already have laws like this on the books now. And again, there are advocates, even in the LGBTQ plus community, who say, leave children alone. Leave children alone. Now, you have the proponents who are saying, this is about science and the health and welfare of the children. But you know what? When you have libloons like Bill Maher stating the obvious, do we have any idea what altering the puberty progression of a young person is going to look like down the road? What kind of problems that's going to trigger? How is that science?
And finally, new rule: if something about the human race is changing at a previously unprecedented rate, we have to at least discuss it. All the babies are in the wrong bodies? Was there a mix-up at the plant, like with Captain Crunch's Oops, All Berries? It wasn't that long ago when adults asked a kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? They meant, what profession? It's trendy. Penis equals man. Okay, boomer. Remember, the prime directive of every teen is anything to shock and challenge the squares who brought you up. The LA Times summarizes, she's come to believe that some children identifying as trans are falling under the influence of their peers and social media. If you attend a small dinner party of typically very liberal, upper-income Angelenos, it is not uncommon to hear parents who each have a trans kid having a conversation about that. What are the odds of that happening in Youngstown, Ohio? If this spike in trans children is all natural, why is it regional? Either Ohio is shaming them or California is creating them. I'm sure the vast majority of parents do not take this lightly, and that it's very hard to know when something is real or just a phase. And I understand being trans is different, it's innate. But kids do also have phases. They're kids, it's all phases. The dinosaur phase, the Hello Kitty phase. One day they want to be an astronaut, the next day you can't get them to leave their room. Gender fluid, kids are fluid about everything. If kids knew what they wanted to be at age 8, the world would be filled with cowboys and princesses. I wanted to be a pirate. Thank God nobody took me seriously and scheduled me for eye removal and peg leg surgery.
Follow the science, which is what we were told for 2 years when they really weren't following the science, were you, Dr. Fauci? You were following the agenda. But this follow the science, it's really pretty simple. You're born a gender and your body develops accordingly. And if the individual believes that they are the wrong gender, then once they're an adult and all of that change is finé, if as an adult, a consenting adult, you want to seek reversal, change, what have you, that's on you as an adult. To actually mess with that natural process in the body of a minor, and notice how they never talk about, and we never get to hear from young people who made this decision as minors and now as young adults are scarred forever and seriously regret this decision. They talk openly. Girls who are transitioning to being boys who are now trying to untransition or detransition and wonder, will they ever be able to be a real woman again? Will they ever be able to give birth to children, etc., etc., etc.? Kids go through phases. You don't let kids make these kinds of decisions, even with the help of doctors and parents, because again, the natural instinct is to go with the feeling of the child. What an adult does, and they are responsible before God for their decision. But Mike DeWiner proving that rhinos have zero backbone, zero, zilch, and they're really just part of that ruling class that we know what's best for you. And you have overwhelming support, even among Democratic voters, that transgendered athletes ought to compete in their own category. Teenage girls who have worked their whole lives in a particular sport, on the cusp of being the best in that sport and being given the opportunity to go to college and maybe even a professional career in that sport, get all of their records upended by some dude who decides he's a teenage girl. Is that right? Is that equity? Is that fair? Nobody sees that as fair or right. It has nothing to do with the health and the welfare of the transgendered young person. They can have sports. They can compete in their own category. You know, where are the women's rights advocates on this? Because the women's rights advocates fought for and got the entire female sports division added into high schools across the country, and that if the boys had a sport in it, the girls needed to equally have the same sport as well. And now all of a sudden, these women's rights advocates are nowhere to be found on this issue, and when they are, they're on the Mike DeWiner side. So you can see, peoples, we really have our work cut out for us. And 2024 is going to be a pivotal year. Do not disengage. Be engaged. Get registered and vote.